2 weeks since Donald Trump announced his presidential candidacy and made controversial comments about Mexican immigrants.
But there's still a lot of attention on those comments, and that's causing some of his rivals to say he's not a real Republican. Several of the candidates hit the Sunday morning talk shows this week, distancing themselves from Trump. But he isn't backing down, especially after that shooting in San Francisco where an undocumented immigrant is accused of killing a woman.
Over the weekend, he tweeted at Florida Senator Marco Rubio saying, quote, "What would you say to the family of Catherine Steinle in California who was viciously killed because we can't secure our border? Stand up for us." Senator Cruz of Texas stood by Trump, but many others, hoping to win over Latin American voters, are still attacking his comments.
Donald Trump seizing the opportunity to double down on his controversial remarks about undocumented immigrants.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're raping.
Well, some of those candidates are really speaking out and pushing back on Trump's comments, making it a bit awkward on the campaign trail.
Joining us now, Republican strategist Paul Welde and Associate Professor of Communication at U of M Dearborn, Tim Kiska. Paul, let's begin with you. Are you surprised to see most people distancing themselves from Trump?
No, not at all. I mean, when you look at the comments that he made, what most politicians could do is take a lesson in self-promotion from Donald Trump. He is out there as the most bombastic candidate that either party could field, frankly. And he's not going to be our nominee. So a lot of people are very concerned about the tone and the tenor of his comments. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee for president.
Tim, I know we've talked about this before. Trump is no stranger to scandal or having controversial opinions. So do you think he's going to rein it in at all now, or are we going to see this for the rest of his campaign?
I think for the rest of his campaign. I might add, by the way, that what he's saying is something that, according to the polls, blue-collar Republicans and some of the older Republicans, they agree with him. So I think he is playing to a certain part of the party base. I agree with Paul Welde that he's not going to get elected, but what that's going to do, it may help him in the primaries, but when it gets to the general election, this is going to be death. This is not going to be good for the Republicans.
Keep in mind that there are 19 candidates potentially on the Republican side, and Donald Trump is by far the most well-known of the bunch. So when we look at polling and other things, it's because they recognize the Donald Trump name. And again, the approach that he's using is designed to get attention, and he's certainly doing that.
Well, he is, and some would argue that we need to have this conversation about immigration in this country, but certainly he is front and center on this, and is he? The question is, I guess, is he going to be able to control some of the campaign because of the stance that he's taking?
I think he's sucking the oxygen out of the room right now. I mean, he's getting a lot of the publicity, and I don't know, Paul may be able to better speak to this, but the other 18 candidates, do you sit back and wait and just hope this blows over, that he burns himself out like a firecracker, or what? I don't know. We'll see.
Paul, what do you think?
Well, he's a guy with $4 billion of his own. You got to take him seriously from that standpoint. But the reality is there's a lot of frustration in America today, and he has tapped into that. At the end of the day, if we're going to resolve or really seriously address this issue, calmer heads have got to enter this debate and this dialogue, because Donald Trump's rhetoric isn't going to get that done.
All right, so, but Paul, does he bring anybody to, the center with him, or, is everybody going to be on the right out there with him on this issue?
Well, he's running away from the center. He's running to his own little island, if you will. It's sort of like the survival island that he's created, his own little reality show.
Trump Island.
Yeah, whatever that is, right, exactly. And that's where he stays. And frankly, yeah, he'll get a few folks who are frustrated, but that's really about it.
A new island, a new reality show.
He'll create a new show on it probably when this is all done.
He might. What the heck? All right, Paul, thank you very much.
You bet.
Tim, thank you for joining us as well. And
thank you.
Still heading your way on the